Welcome to Medicarians Live. I'm Sonya Larson, and joining me today is Feargal of PacSana. Welcome, Feargal.
Thanks.
How are you today?
I'm great, Sonya. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So we're here to talk about PacSana, which makes wearable technology specifically for seniors living
We
at
actually
home.
call it a smart bracelet.
Oh, please
Okay.
tell me more.
There's a bit of a bad reputation for wearables because of the way they've come into the market over the last 10 years or so. So the technology we prefer is smart bracelet.
Excellent. So can you tell me more about your own personal story and what led you to create PacSana in the first place?
Yeah, no problem. So about 6 years ago, I had occasion to look at the senior living and home care market from a technology perspective to assess and see what tools there were and how they were actually working in practice with people. And I was quite disappointed to see that the technology that was there is probably not focused on the clients themselves. It was more based on an engineer's perspective or what technology tools they were using. So I was interested to see how the clients felt and how the individuals felt about it. So I'm a salesman, that's my background, and that's what I love doing. So I asked people, I spoke to them, and they were very specific about what they wanted. They told us the rules. They wanted it to be comfortable. They wanted to be able to wear it 24/7. They needed it to be waterproof, and they needed to wear it for a long time. So this is what we built. It's our smart bracelet or wearable, depending on your perspective. But it has 9 months battery life, and they wear it constantly, and connects to the smart plugs in the home. And from it we get movement, gait, fall detection, and a whole bunch of activities of daily living. But take it in your hands.
This is fantastic. It's so lightweight too.
Yeah.
And so what are the obstacles that you found for seniors wanting to wear this, but perhaps finding themselves taking it off, not sticking to it? And how do you help with that?
So, it's by design. We build compliance into the system. So, some people call it wear and forget, but the whole concept behind the PacSana is to be as light as possible, is to be so wearing it is as frictionless as possible. So, and because it doesn't need to be removed for bathing or for any real reason, people do wear it, and we've seen really high compliance rates from our clients, which means we have a very large pool of data. That data becomes really meaningful the more we can, more time we have it. So in terms of barriers, it's really, we've designed out as much we could in terms of the barriers.
That's amazing. And all that data then is given to caregivers, to healthcare providers, who can then be tracking the gait and other issues that the bracelet can pick up.
Well, that's a good point, because it depends on the use case and the customer that we're supporting. Because some of our home care customers provide the bracelet and the data to family carers. So the family carers take responsibility for that data and the notifications that go with it. So if there is, a potential fall or a wandering event. And there are other of our home care and senior living providers, and what they do is they use it as an assessment tool. They look at it over time, and they see the changes that is happening or evolving with this client, and they use that to decide, is there a change of location here? Are we seeing an adjustment in the care plan? Or is there maybe a medical intervention because someone's movement has changed, or their exercise has changed, or they're not leaving the house as much? So it really is depending on the situation of the organization and their resources, what business rules we apply.
Fantastic. And the concept of aging in place is becoming more important nowadays. Why is it important for seniors to live in their homes as long as they can?
Well, there's a multitude of reasons, but I think we all saw in COVID that people reacted very viscerally to being in their own homes. They cocooned, and that's maybe a good thing for during that time. But why people are choosing to age in place is because they see that they have better outcomes. They're in their own community. Now, there's a dignity in that, but there's also a risk in it. So we need to understand that, and support the decisions they make, and help them make wise choices. Now, obviously, if somebody wants to stay in their own home, that's where they'll stay. And I know lots of men and women who will say, this is where I'll stay. And absolutely, they should be allowed and enabled to do that with all the tools we have. But there are those that will need to move through their stages in care, which might start in the home, might move to a community living setting, which might have an independent or assisted living or memory care. And it's those transitions and inflection points that we want to understand and support to be as best they can for the client and for the carers.
That's fantastic. Do you have any stories of seniors who have used the smart bracelet and what they have to say about it?
We have, obviously there's a lot of personal stories in it, but and because of the nature of it, I'm reminded of one of our first customers in Boston, actually, who started to use the bracelet. She's living in a senior living facility, and her son was very enthusiastic about the data because he could see very clearly that his mother's mood and daily life was enhanced the days that she joined the community activities when she went to do her Zumba classes. But on the days and when that drifted off, he could see there was a change and a decline, and he was able to engage with her and work through that and try and encourage some of the activities that she wanted. So the nature of this is that you work with people and they don't last forever. So unfortunately, she's since passed. But my hope was, and this was echoed by the customer, her son, is that we made an impact and we helped her improve the days that she had while she was in that facility.
Yeah. So he could say, "I can see that you're having an increased quality of life when you're going to these classes, and I'm encouraging you to do that more." And he learned that from the bracelet.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Can you tell us what else is coming down the pike for PacSana in the next year?
So we have PacSana in its current incarnation, where we gather high value data, we put it through our machine learning and our reporting algorithms, and we share it with the important people. But in 2023, where we're headed is we're bringing in a client engagement feature where we will actually actively engage with clients themselves. So that could be a FaceTime call or a regular telephone call, and where we'll be able to talk to them and get some insights. And there's two sides to it, really. There's the companionship of the call, because sometimes people are lonely and they don't have an awful lot of engagement. But there's the other side, is that we created a digital asset which allows us to understand lots of mental health and various other kind of components that would help us guide in terms of different later diagnostics and consultations. So that's really interesting. Like that's something that's going to have loads of different kind of routes to develop. You might start with just a companion call and an assessment, but where you might go as far as having escalations and a daily call. So there's lots in that, and we're really excited about it.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. That's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Medicarians Live.